Welcome to the Switch Bit, and this is the first episode of the podcast. So welcome everybody who's joined us. If you like that intro music, that came courtesy of TeejayThegamer. I'm going to have the whole track at the end of the episode, and I'm going to put his information in the show notes. So thank you so much for that. If you are new to me, I have a YouTube channel, and I am active on Twitter and Instagram at the Switch Bit. So thank you so much for joining me, and let's talk a little bit about this podcast and how it's going to break down in the future. If you're familiar with the old One Up Yours podcast, it's basically, I'm just trying to talk about what games I've been playing, a little bit about the news, and maybe some Q&A stuff at the end. So, without further ado, let's hop right into it. So what have I been playing? Well, obviously, I'm mainly playing on the Switch, so finally, Square Enix brought over Final Fantasy IX to the Nintendo Switch, so I have been playing that a lot. It is the first time I've played the game, and so I played Final Fantasy VII, 10, a lot of 11, 13, a little bit of 12, and then some of the older titles as well. But this is my first time playing Final Fantasy IX, and I have to say, it's quite different. It has a different atmosphere. It's not very dark, at least not at the beginning from what I've played. It has kind of a goofy, whimsical nature to it, but I'm really digging it. It's different than any Final Fantasy game I've played. And everybody on Twitter is saying, that there's some heartbreaking moments and that it's their favorite Final Fantasy game. So I'm excited to see where this journey takes me. I should probably be finished in the next couple weeks, kind of at the rate I'm playing, which is, whenever I can, basically, a few hours here and there. But I'm really enjoying it. If you're on the fence about paying $20.99 for it, I just don't be. I mean, jump in, play it. It's got high-res textures. It looks great on the small screen, and it's very enjoyable from what I've played so far. Next up, I've been playing a lot of Tetris 99. This is coming right off of the tournament that they were holding, where, if you got number one the most amount of times, they gave you some cash, $10 or whatever. But, I'm nowhere near that good. The best I've got is 2, and I think that was luck. I'm landing in the top 10 quite a bit. If you're not familiar with Tetris 99, it is a game that they are providing to Nintendo Switch Online members. It's $20 a year is what I paid for my membership, and you get the NES games for free. But this is the first time they've had a non-NES emulated game on there, and it's really cool. It's battle royale. It's Tetris. There is a lot of strategy to it, more so than you'd think there would be with Tetris, but it's a lot of fun. Every single time I boot up my Switch, I play at least one game of that, and then I move on to other things. So it's a lot of fun. It is challenging and rewarding, and I think I described it as like a mix between a survival horror game and a roller coaster. That adrenaline, that intensity, that anxiety, especially when you're in the top 10 and everything just starts to go really fast. It's crazy, but I'm really enjoying that. And I've also been playing Dark Quest 2. So if you are familiar with my YouTube channel, I recently did my first impressions on Dark Quest 2. It's just a small, cheap eShop game on the Nintendo Switch, and I'm really enjoying it. What drew my eye to it at first was that it reminded me a lot of this Sega Genesis game called The Immortal. It's an isometric fantasy game where you play a wizard and you go through and you're fighting orcs and traps and you're doing turn-based combat, and I just have a lot of nostalgia for that game. So when I saw the art design of Dark Quest 2 when I was browsing through the Nintendo eShop, it immediately caught my eye. It was $6, super cheap, so I jumped right into it, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. So check out those impressions if you want to know a little bit more about how the game plays. But I'm glad that I bought it. I spent $20. Pretty much every paycheck that I get, I spend $20 on Nintendo eShop games that I've just never heard of before, and I try to kind of experiment with that. Of course, I'm not trying to buy the shovelware. I want to buy things that are still interesting to me, but things that aren't getting any coverage and that I've never heard of. And I'm glad that I do that, and this is kind of the first one that I've talked about on my YouTube channel, but I'm going to keep doing that. talk about those kind of lesser known eShop games and bring attention to them, especially when they're deserving of it, like Dark Quest 2 is. All right, so that's pretty much what I've been playing. I've downloaded a few games here and there on the eShop, but that's what's really taken my time this week. Final Fantasy IX, I think until I beat that, that's going to be the main thing that I'll be playing. And let's move right along into the news. So there's not a lot of crazy exciting things going on, but there's some stuff I'll talk about that's kind of been brought up over the last week and some just over the last couple days. So the first thing is that Nintendo Labo is coming out with VR cardboard goggles. I have no idea how this is going to work. I have a Nintendo Labo. I have the Variety Kit, but I've never actually used it. I'm waiting until, probably another year or so until my daughter's a little bit older and she can do that along with me. But I'm curious to see Nintendo's take on VR, if it's even going to be worth it. The reviews for this are going to be very interesting, and it might be the thing that Nintendo needs to kind of boost their Labo line, because right now it's not like super duper popular among gamers or anything like that. But we'll see. It looks interesting just from the concept of it, but we don't know anything about the games or anything like that. Here's a little bit of a weird news story. Axiom Verge, if you're familiar with that eShop title, it's got a physical edition on Switch, and finally it's getting a Wii U physical edition. There was a whole lot of controversy going on between the developer and the publisher. Evidently the publisher ripped them off. They're in litigation right now with that. So Limited Run Games is going to be bringing out a Wii U physical version. So that's probably going to be sought after among collectors like myself. So if you hadn't heard about that, there you go. For those of you who don't care about the Wii U, which is most of us, I'm sorry, but every now and then there's some interesting stuff that's going on with the Wii U still, even to this day. So I'm going to talk about it because nobody else is. All right, next up, we have a new Octopath Traveler. Well, we have two new Octopath Traveler games. So this sold 1.5 million copies, I think is what Square Enix said. So they are coming out with a sequel on the Nintendo Switch. They've announced that, but they also announced that sooner than that, there's going to be a prequel title that's going to be a mobile game. It's going to be free to play. Not a whole lot of information about it other than the fact that you can have 8 players, what looks to be simultaneously, but we'll see. So yeah, a prequel game. This is no indication that the Switch version sold poorly or that it didn't hit their sales expectations or anything like that. Some people, obviously, they see that another game's coming out for a non-Nintendo system and they want to say the sky is falling. But it's a wise decision, I think, to bring it out on mobile, free to play, get as many people introduced to your brand as possible, and then the sequel will probably sell even more than the original did. So that's exciting overall. And next up, we have a couple possible news. I mean, it's news because and people are talking about it, but it's not even been an announcement yet. So Borderlands 2 is what people are thinking is going to be coming to the Nintendo Switch soon. Maybe all the Borderlands, but Gearbox was teasing some images that really got people thinking that Borderlands 2 will be coming. And if it does, I'll probably buy it, to be honest. I loved Borderlands 1, and I never played Borderlands 2. For whatever reason, it just kind of slid under my radar. So if it comes out and it's reasonably priced, I'm definitely going to get that. And then the Behemoth is teasing what looks to be Castle Crashers, which is a weird tease. That game's like old. It's like 10 years old. Wonderful game. I've bought it on 2 different systems. I'll probably buy it if it comes out on Switch, or maybe it's a sign that there's a sequel coming. But I mean, it's quite obviously the images they're teasing are of their Castle Crashers related. So I think that game would do very, very well in the Nintendo Switch. Very well. So we shall see. All right, that's it for the news this week. Like I said, it's kind of slow, but as we gear up and get even closer to E3, I think the news, especially Nintendo-related news, is going to be coming hard and fast. So we're going to go into our third section. So I put out a question on my Discord and on Twitter regarding the Nintendo Switch, and I was wanting to get people's opinion on what their favorite Nintendo Switch game was that was not developed by Nintendo. And I got some pretty good answers. No surprises here, really, but let's go ahead and talk a little bit about that. So Shifty, which Shifty is me on Twitter, He says that Dark Souls, at least at the moment, Shifty does some streams and some cool game stuff on YouTube that I've checked out before. So it's really cool that he responded to this. But he says it's just one of my favorite games, so a portable version is awesome, and it runs great on the Switch, which is kind of like a theme. The ports that run good on Switch has seemed to really got people excited about it. We have Moses Bolin. That's at Moses_Bolin says Minecraft. And the reason that he enjoys Minecraft is that he's got a bunch of friends who don't play on the Switch, and he said it's almost impossible to game together. So Minecraft fits their social low budget needs thanks to its cross-platform capabilities. So cool. Thank you so much for bringing that up, because nobody I really run with plays a whole lot of Minecraft, so it's good to hear and see people, excited about that game. Because if you listen to the top 30 countdown, it's like the third or fourth best-selling game still on the Nintendo Switch eShop, which is crazy, I think. Okay, we have Clarky, who is Clarky_K85, and he's going to say Doom. So this is another port. He said it's a great down port that keeps the fun of the original with some portable sacrifices, and the updates made it run smoother, and the fact they added gyro controls looks like it was pretty big for him. And TeejayThegamer is somebody who I've collaborated with, and he's also the person that provided the intro music. So he says that Hollow Knight, and of course that's no surprise that Hollow Knight's an amazing game. That's the one that he's played most outside of the Nintendo ones. He is a self-declared Nintendo fanboy from what he says in the Discord. But so it's cool to see that he's playing stuff that's not from Nintendo. And Hollow Knight, like I said, it's critically acclaimed. It's selling like crazy, and a lot of people love it. I have it. I still haven't played yet. It's on my backlog. I will get to that, TJ. I promise. And Game Over, You Suck. That's his Twitter handle. He's got a couple Dead Cells so far. He said it's the perfect bus game, or game to pick up or play for a few minutes, do a run, or at least do a level, die, repeat. So that's kind of why I like the Switch and a lot of the games that they have, because they're these small bite-sized chunks that you can, easily put it in sleep mode or put down and play, like you said, on the bus, on the train, in a commute, on your lunch break, wherever. But he also says Stardew Valley is a close second. But he feels like since that game is much slower paced, it's harder to pick up and drop. But still being able to relax on the couch and harvest crops for a couple of lazy hours is amazing. And I agree. I love that game. I'm thinking about picking it back up. I lost about 40 hours of progress when I broke my Nintendo Switch originally. But everybody I know who have introduced to that game has really loved it as well. And now you can play online. There's a multiplayer patch that came out, so we'll see if I pick that up. But I want to say thank you to everybody who responded to my questions on Twitter and in the Discord. And if you have any questions that you want to ask, or if you want to answer any questions, that's going to be on the show notes on the website. The website is theswitchbit.com. You can follow me at theswitchbit on Twitter or on my YouTube, and I'll make sure that I try to be inclusive as possible, reaching out for these questions for the Q&A. All right, so that's it. I've been playing quite a few games. We've got a little bit of news, and thank you so much for everybody participating in the question and answer section. All right, now as promised, here is TeejayThegamer's instrumental that he's allowing me to use for this podcast. So thank you so much, TJ, once again. We will see you next Monday, everybody. Happy hunting. Have a good day.